Hey guys, welcome back to Raid Shadow Legends. In today's video, I want to talk about farming units in the early game. Something you'll often see is, fast farming units doing like 6 seconds, 8-second farming through campaign stages to level up fodder and stuff like that. And I want to give a different perspective on it and sort of my theory. Now, just in editing, I wanted to put one big disclaimer in here in that this is a strategy where you do need to play the game decently actively, at least running the multi-battle in your pocket on your phone or something like that. So if you are someone who only really gets a half an hour to play the game per day or something like that, well then, trying to build a faster farmer is definitely going to be a higher priority for you as opposed to people who are grinding the game, more active in the game, where you're trying to min-max, getting through, Demon Lord progression and stuff like that as fast as possible. So the type of player you are is really going to have an impact on what decisions you make in the game. But once again, I'm playing this from a more sweaty perspective, and I want to share that perspective for players who also want to try and min-max as much as they can. Now, before we get into it, this is more catered around the idea that at the moment we have these Narma links, which is the link I'm using. You guys can try and account like this, which is actually crazy. We're going to do our 1 week update at the end of this video. But Narma is a really crazy champion in allowing you to climb super fast, super early in the clan boss. But the problem with her is she's not a great farming unit. She doesn't have the AoE attacks. And then we have Venomage, Tagoar, and Uugo in the download link, and we're using the code for Tagoar, which is Desert Queen, which means we don't really have a traditional farming unit, which is something with big AoEs that's going to farm really fast. And I want to talk about that and why I didn't level up, the typical one that people talk about is going to be Kale as your starter. Now, I did a whole video talking about why I don't build the starter champion, no matter who it is, but the traditional recommendation used to be you build up Kale because he's going to be part of your first clan boss team. But now, and he's also going to be a great farmer. But now, because these download links that we get and the free champions with the codes and everything are so strong, your starter champions sort of fall out of usefulness. When we look at Kale, his big thing was this thing that hits 4 times, has a 40% chance of placing the poison, goes up to 50. So on average, you're landing 2 poisons. I mean, at the moment, starting an account right now, we have Xenomorph, which does 3 guaranteed on a crit with the basic. So it's kind of crazy. So basically what I'm saying is your starter is no longer as welcome. Now, we also have things like the Bellower, code, which is our welcome gift, where you get this guy. He's got 3 AoEs. He can be a really fast farmer. But for me, I skip all these guys anyway, and specifically for the people playing these Narma download links, because I also have a download link down there for Tholin Foulbeard, and if you're using Tholin Foulbeard, just make him your first 6-star and using him as a farmer. He's fantastic, he's fast, he makes the whole thing a lot easier, so you don't have to stress too much about it. But I wanted to have a chat because guys in Discord were, sending screenshots, who should they 6-star first and stuff like that, and I want to explain why I think Tagoar is a fine farmer if you have a little bit of patience. So, and I want to go through the builds, how to quickly unlock her passive, which requires 3-star Ascension, which is the 3 purple stars, and go through just the general process if you are playing an account, whether it be with this download link, which gives us Narma, or a future download link where we don't really have a strong nuking champion, but we have some strong supports like Tagoar. Now, if this changes and we get a new champion besides Tagoar and, it's a whole new thing, you can be guaranteed I'm going to test that stuff out and I'll make more videos. But at the moment, I want to go through what I did because Tagoar was my first farmer on this account, and I was able to do 12-3 Brutal with her at 5-star as well. So I want to go through the builds and have a talk because there are a lot of people, anyone starting this Narma account, I feel like everyone has that same dilemma of who do you 6-star first. I've also had people asking me like, what is my farming build for Xenomorph to make him farm? And even though I got Xenomorph, I still don't use him to farm because I don't have a great lifesteal set of gears. So because I don't have great lifesteal pieces, I can't really farm with him. So, he's just relegated to doing all the other content, and Tagoar is still my farming unit. Now, if you're wondering, with these stats that my Tagoar has, she's on a crit, defense, chest, and crit rate gloves. She does it in anywhere from normally like 50 seconds to a minute and 15 seconds. That's her general time for 12-3 Brutal. Now, just keep in mind, 12-3 Brutal isn't the easiest thing as soon as you rock up to it to go ahead and do, but there will be a ton of challenges in the early game. I'm still working through a few. When we go to artifacts, where you got to do a bunch of stuff in Carrot Castle, you've also got to do some in Chapter 3, in the sewers as well. So just note, in the early days, like once you get to, we're on Brutal here, you know, you can sit in Brutal and do some of those challenges. They do suck. They do eat a lot of energy. But if you can't actually farm these higher stages, then doing those when you're weak is going to be a better time to go ahead and do them. Now, you've also got other things I always mention in videos, like, you know, you're going to have to eventually do the fusion, which is going to involve, you know, your spirit host and stuff like that. So when you're farming for a spirit host, you can always come over here and, you know, try and get yourself some crit rate gloves with the crit set, because even though Tahanarach, who we're mainly talking about, doesn't want crit gloves or crit set in the late game, in the early game when you're using her as a farmer, those things are going to be fantastic on her because it allows her to get higher crit rate, which helps her with her farming. Now, I want to address the elephant, which is I'm using a bunch of perception gear. So when you first unlock the forge, you will be able to craft 3 5 to 6 star pieces of perception gear. Only craft these when you have a rank charm and a rarity charm available to you. Otherwise, do not craft them. And then I also do the same for 4 to 5 star pieces. I try to have a rank and rarity charm because even though late game you save them purely for the 5 to 6 stars, in the early game, getting some good 5-star pieces can really change your account, kind of like what mine has. But let's say, Vulcan, you asshole, you got lucky, you got some perception pieces, even though they're actually quite arse because they rolled pretty horribly. What would I do if I didn't get these? That is when you would come in, because even though the end goal is farming 12-3 Brutal, well, we've got other things to farm before that. Another one of the fusion materials we need is Eris. And while you're trying to farm for Eris, you could do 6-4, 6-5, or 6-6. Once again, you want to be doing this on Brutal because Brutal allows you to get 4-star and 5-star drops. That means you could be farming for your crit rate gloves, your defense chest, and your speed boots down here to go ahead and beef up your Tahanarach. And you may say, yes, but then you're missing out on the accuracy. And whilst yes, accuracy is very important on Tahanarach for most aspects of the game, it is not the most important for farming. For farming, she wants defense, she wants crit rate, she wants crit damage, and she wants speed. And you can see that my Tahanarach is actually really average. I'm at plus 62 speed. This should realistically be plus 90 or above. But unfortunately, even though, you know, I got a few perception pieces, nothing is really that crazy. So she is still actually struggling massively in her speed ranks, but this is still good enough to get her to farm. So once again, if you can't get that stuff, you can always go ahead and farm Chapter 6 Brutal to try and get yourself some of the pieces that you're looking for in 4-star or 5-star. You can see here, we're still using 4-star boots. Now, 4-star boots aren't the end of the world. Obviously, we want more speed, but 5-star boots maxed out only go up to 40 speed. So you're only losing 5 speed on the boots for doing 4 stars. So, you know, even if you just get that, and you're sick of farming it, that is always a perfectly good option. Now, if you are a Tholin player, I'll quickly want to mention the Tholin players here. 12-6 Brutal is going to be easier than 12-3. Gives you a bit less silver, but a bit more experience. And once you get him really beefed up, then he can go ahead and farm whatever. But just note that is sometimes what you can do. As for Tahanarach users, I just want to go ahead and show you guys a quick run here. And what I do is I still run mine on a setup. I set up this when I was trying to farm when she was 5-star, when she couldn't one-shot enemies. So now I could probably take it off, but I've just gotten used to using this anyway. But basically what I have is I use her skill 2 and then turn it off on wave 1. I use her skill 2, then turn it off on wave 2, and then on wave 3, I just prioritize using her skill 2 first. Now, that's pretty much all there is to it. The reason being is it allows me to use her skill 2, which can put attack, break, or block buffs on the enemies. And now I one-shot the enemies and I don't actually get to apply these things. But before I was strong enough to do that, it was really nice to put that decrease attack or block buffs to go ahead and weaken them. Actually, I'm not going to run you. Let's just run through a quick run, and then we'll talk about how I managed to get her to 3-star Ascended in the early game as well. So let's just go in and do a run. You'll see here she uses her skill 2. Now, obviously, mine has close to 100% crit rate, and she's got a good chunky amount of defense and crit damage, well, at least for this stage of the game. So she is one-shotting enemies with her skill 2 at the start. So once again, that's not the most important thing, but it is what it is. It still gets the job done. Now, she's not going to kill this enemy because she didn't have her defense buff. And that's where, you know, having a little bit more stats than mine, being that you can kill the enemies in one shot with her basic without the defense buff, well, then you're going to speed up your farming even more. But I wanted to show you guys this one because it is quite safe. That's her passive kicking in, getting rid of that defense break. But you can see now, even in 12-3 Brutal at this stage of the game, you know, the speed at 163 speed, we still lap them sometimes, which is honestly quite crazy. So that is the basic gist. Now, we did get that bomb, and this is why normally when you're like 5-star before you have 3-star Ascension, I like using that skill 2 first. But once again, you're probably, before you get her to 6-star, you're probably not going to be doing 12-3 Brutal because you've got to farm all those other stages for other purposes, for the fusion materials, maybe getting some speed gear and stuff like that, maybe for the challenges in Karok Castle or whatever it's called. So there is all that. So normally you're going to be 6-star by the time you come to farm 12-3. And there you go. We got a 1 minute 14. You can see my best is 49 seconds. And that is the basic way she farms. And even though there are those champions, you know, that do really fast farming, 6-second farming, that's only really a thing for whales. Because for me, personally, especially for a new player in the early game, eventually you can go ahead and make yourself a specialized farmer. But for me, in the early game, my first 5-6-star champions, I want to be my clan boss team. And so my clan boss team on this account is going to be Tagoar, Xenomorph, Venomage, Narma, and also the Morag. Now, Morag could be a farming option, but I'm saving her for last to build. So some of the guys in Discord tested her, said she wasn't the greatest. She does have AoE, but she's not the most crazy. So maybe she's one you guys could experiment with as a farmer. But like I said, I think Tagoar's a perfectly safe option to go ahead and make your first 6-star. It does make your first couple days of play annoying when you're overcapped on energy, trying to burn it. And it does slow that down a little. But once you get past those first couple days, you're no longer overcapped on energy. Well, then it doesn't really matter. Like if I had a 6-second farmer, it wouldn't change my gameplay compared to what I have with my Tagoar doing 1 minute farms, because I only have so much energy that I can use in a day now, and that's kind of where it sits. So that is everything that I wanted to talk about the actual farming process. But the one thing I want to touch on now is getting your first 3-star Ascension on a 5-star unit, because that can sometimes be very annoying. Even if you're building Tholin, that can be very annoying trying to get his passive as well. So the main thing that you want to do is there's going to be dungeon challenges in here. They're pretty easy. Work your way through the dungeon challenges, and eventually you will start getting yourself superior potions from those dungeon challenges, which are these bad boys. So you'll start getting some of them from the dungeon missions. The next place, if you need some of these bad boys on the arcane potions, the best place to get them is in Call of the Arbiter. I can't remember which one it is. It's one of these ones. We'll see if we can find it. It might be this one. No, yeah, that one. So that's going to give you 5 there. So that is a nice little mission to go ahead and get yourself 5 in the early game when you really need them. But the other place is going to be through your Arbiter missions, where there's always, you know, obviously I'm in a later phase, but in those early phases, there's always places that are going to make you go ahead and do the potion keeps. The only thing I'll say is try not to farm the potion keeps for those things outside of it. Like I said, between the missions that you have to do with the Arbiter missions, and then also the challenges, you should be able to get enough potions to go ahead and make your first 5-star champion to 3-star Ascension to unlock their passive. Once again, for Tagoar, it's very important because it gets her cleansing passive. For Tholin, it gets him his extra attack. So that is probably the easiest way to go ahead and do that. So that is everything that I wanted to talk about. Once again, I just had a lot of people asking me about, you know, who to use as a farmer. And at the end of the day, if you want to, you know, start with Kale and go ahead and use Kale as your farmer, it's still a perfectly valid option if you want to, because you're a bit impatient and stuff like that. Once again, if you start with Tholin, just do Tholin easy. Don't even think about it. But when you're starting, you know, with these Narma download links and stuff like that, I try to avoid this because, once again, he's not going to make it into my campaign team. Into my my Demon Lord team. So I don't want to waste a 6-star early on a character that I'm not really going to use when I could just accept slower farming and get through it anyway. So depends on the kind of person you are, but I just wanted to highlight my perspective, what I've been doing on my accounts, so that you guys know. Now, let's give you guys a quick update on 1 week played of this account. So we did go ahead and finish the first tournament, which was the Tag Arena tournament, which actually got us a few pieces of 6-star legendary gear. And we got 1 good one, 1 okay one, and 2 trash ones. So let's go ahead and find this Relentless, if I can actually find the set. There it is. So trash was this one. Let me move my head. So this was clearly trash. This was clearly trash. I don't even know why. Oh yeah, I upgraded to see if I got 2, then maybe I'd do a rework early on. You know, copium basically. This was a really good piece. We got speed boots, 6-star speed boots. We rolled through twice into defense. Now, I don't really want to use Relentless on attackers. I want the ball. Basically, the main character I want on Relentless is Narma. So I want defense, I want HP, I want accuracy. I want tanky stats and accuracy. So 2 defense rolls. I was pretty happy with that. It could have gone way worse. Kind of like this piece. So this piece had speed, which was sick, but because I only want to use this on a support character at this stage, it's not the greatest rolls, 2 into attack percent and 1 into crit rate. Now, in the future, if I get an attacker that I want on Relentless, this becomes a really good piece. But at the moment with my account, it's not too good. So that's pretty much it. We've also got, you know, some of these 3 pieces. We've got some 4 pieces from the Ice Golem one as well, but nothing crazy. We still can't beat a, piece together a set, but we do have the Champion Chase tournament, which I should finish first or second at this rate. We're very, very close, so I should finish first or second, get myself 6 extra pieces. Then we also have the Classic Arena Takedown, where I think, finish first and get myself another 6 5-star pieces. So that's going to be really nice. Hopefully from all those pieces that drop, maybe I can make myself a proper Relentless set, once again, to get myself onto the Narma. Now, I want to have a quick chat about, because I've changed my mind on what I'm doing in 6-star order. So obviously I've already got my 6-star Tahanarok and Xenomorph. The next one I'm doing is Venomage. You can see I got 3 5-star chickens made, and I'm working on farming up the rest. Now the reason I'm doing Venomage is purely because I'm up to this mission here, which is ascend a champion to level 6 of Ascension. And I just don't want to farm potions for Tahanarok or Xenomorph to do it. And if I do Narma, then I'd also have to farm potions to get those. So I'm going to do Venomage just so I can do that really quickly and get it done. It also has another effect for me, which is the challenge over here, artifacts. Now, I'm going to do these 3 ones today, which are actually kind of some of the easier ones, just getting a 5-star from those stages. But fully equip a champion with accessories. To do this, they have to be 6-star ascended, and just because we have the pass going on with the Predator, tomorrow I'm going to get myself the banner. So then I can just slap that on Venomage once Venomage is 6-star and 6-star ascended, and there we go. We've sort of killed 2 birds with 1 stone by making Venomage 6-star, and that's why I've changed my mind, and that's what I'm going to do there. And so that's my basic process. Hopefully in the next 12 hours or so, maybe less, I can get Venomage 6-starred and start getting on that, because with these Arbiter missions, you know, it's these ones where you get bogged down in arena that you've really got to, you know, deal with. So that's why I want to get there as quick as possible. So that's what I'm currently burning my energy on over there. Besides that, there's not too much else crazy that I'm looking at. We did get our chest yesterday from the last video. Nightmare rolled into Spirit again, so we've done 2 keys into this one, got ourselves 24.53. The auto team working really damn well at this stage, so that's kind of the update. There's nothing else crazy going on at the moment. That's pretty much where we're at. We're in gold for arena. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Not much crazy to update you guys on from the last video. The last video was the big one, getting into the Nightmare Clan boss. But yeah, I'm hoping in the next like sort of 4 to 5 days, because we do have a CVC. We also have the refresh in the clan shop coming to get ourselves an extra 1,000 energy. Hoping in the next like 5 days, I can have my first my first 5 characters to 6-star, and then I will probably pivot and start hard farming the Minotaur's Labyrinth to try and get my masteries up. Now, the biggest shaft on this account is still the fact that my Tahanarok, I got another skill book from the Champ Chase, and wouldn't you know it, it went into the skill 1. I just want this skill, like all I need is skill 3 maxed out, and the Tahanarok is perfectly good for this account. I don't need the skill 1 maxed out. I don't need the skill 2 maxed out, but unfortunately, the game is gonna shaft you the way the game shafts you. Also, we did get our campaign gear for the Nightmare. I'm kind of stuck on Chapter 8. Chapter 8's a bit of a bitch, because I really wanted to get these 3 legendary skill tomes, but I think I might be stuck on this account. It's not as easy as my last account where we had Vergis and Tahanarok just clap through this stuff. But, you know, hopefully I can eventually get these books, because they're going to be very important for Tahanarok if I want to try and get through the the Ultra Nightmare clan boss, because she needs that to be on a 3-turn cooldown. So that's kind of where we're at. We pushed through there a little bit. Our speed set, because you do get a speed set of gear, 6-star epics, they all ended up being crap. This one was crap. Not one of them had speed. We had no speed on this one. We had no speed on this one. This one was flat defense with no speed. The boots were defense flat. And then I think the chest piece was the only semi-useful one, which I think I've got on Morag, which was defense percent with accuracy, crit rate, HP. So unfortunately, this account just really hates receiving speed on gear. But hey, it is what it is. That is the 1 week update. Anyway, guys, as always, thanks for watching. Hope you have an awesome day. I look forward to seeing the next one. Cheers.